Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Looks to be going to be a pretty decent day here in the Ozarks, but the temperature's down a little bit, and it's going to be down a little bit for the next few days. We're going to have overnight lows in the low 40s, which we haven't had in quite a while. We've been quite warm with all this weather, so kind of a cold front's moved in. It's a little cool right now. I mean, some people would have a jacket on probably. So it's crazy. It doesn't look no freezing, so we're not have to worry about plants. Although, even though it's the 1st of May, I have seen it. Even around here, just a few years ago, we had, I think, like 3 or 4 inches of snow on May 3rd, May 4th, something like that. So it is possible, but that's not what's going to happen this weekend. At least we're hopeful. So here on this channel and in many other, online venues, the focus has been a lot lately on the tariffs, on the supply chain, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. There was just another video out this morning of the ports in Boston, and they looked vacant. I mean, there was containers, shipping containers on the docks, but there were no ships anywhere to be seen. And so the slowdown is becoming real. And, it's going to take a little bit to trickle down to you and I, meaning to like the stores that you go in, but it is happening. So the focus has been on that for a while, but remember, there's still some wars going on and possible big wars going on. And yesterday, I don't know, just seemed like, we got to go in there and stir the pot a little bit, right, to get things going. I think probably the one of the bigger things was yesterday, the president posted a post, an online social media post, and he basically, in a way, put an oil embargo on Iran, but kind of more than that. He said that any country, any nation that purchases oil from Iran, that the United States will do no business with whatsoever, none. Now, of course, the president is known for kind of exaggerating things and speaking sarcastically and saying things that aren't exactly true and backing off of things and saying things just for the shock value. I get that. And so probably a lot of this is that. But there could be more to that. Number one, if we did that, if the United States actually followed through with that, and anyone that purchased oil from Iran, we completely cut them off in trade, that would be huge, because China buys a lot of oil from Iran. India buys oil from Iran. Several other countries that we do a lot of trade with buys oil from Iran. Now, of course, they could stop buying oil from Iran, but that's probably unlikely, especially for China. And if we completely cut off all business, trade, commerce with China over Iran, that would be huge. I think both economies would just about nearly collapse, because it's more than just the trade. There's just all kinds of other stuff that's going on, and so that's possible. Now, what I think might be happening is the attempt to cause the same thing that happened in World War II with Japan, with the oil embargo in Japan. Some of you that know your history, whether it was intentional or not, we'll leave that up to the conspiracy theorists. But we placed an oil embargo on Japan, and in turn, Japan attacked us with Pearl Harbor. Now, I know I'm oversimplifying things, but that's kind of the gist of it. I think it's possible that Trump is trying to do the same thing with Iran. They're trying to provoke Iran into an attack. Things that's been talked about in the news in the last couple of days because of this is that the White House seems to have kind of slowed down its progression with peace talks, or whatever you call it, with Iran, because Israel is communicating with the United States saying, hey, we don't like this. This is not going to work. And so there was a report stating that the White House officials dealing with this are a little uncertain of how to handle, that they might be able to work out a deal with Iran, a very watered down one, but maybe something to go off of. But Israel won't take it. They're not supporting that. And they're telling them no. And so it's just not going that well. Okay. And so it's possible that if the president actually follows through with this, anybody that does business, that buys oil from Iran, we won't do business with. Maybe that's a way to try to provoke Iran. Because if all of these countries stopped doing business with Iran when it comes to oil, that would be huge for them. I mean, that's like cutting their throat, because that's a big way that they make their money, is through their oil sales. It's a big deal, okay? It's a big deal. Also yesterday, and other things, the president was asked about Ukraine and Russia. And he was, the big part of it is, he said, if Russia does not agree to something, if Russia does not agree to a ceasefire peace deal with Ukraine, then we will start sending way more stuff to Ukraine than Biden ever did. We will send lots more, hundreds of Bradley fighting vehicles, tanks, bombs, missiles, planes. He said we will send way more than was ever sent before to Ukraine, so that they could, much more aggressively attack Russia. Also, the State Department spokesperson stated that the United States is backing away as the mediator, that we're no longer going to be the mediator in that conflict. And so we also worked out a mineral rights deal with Ukraine yesterday. So it seems like sides are being flipped. In the last week or so, the president and White House officials have made statements to the fact that they're very upset with Russia. They're angry with Russia because Russia isn't following through. This was the peace deal that was supposed to take 24 hours after the election, or after the inauguration, and it's just getting drawn out. J.D. Vance, the vice president, stated that a peace deal was unlikely in the near future, and that this war will probably go on for a long time still. And so it does look like that we're once again shifting away from being more sided with Russia. Now we're back to siding with Ukraine. There was talk about once again, assuring the security for Ukraine. There has been, and this is unofficial, I know, but it's in the news, that the president and the White House and the president are worried that if they followed through with what had been talked about, which ended up kind of favoring Russia in the whole peace deal, if Russia kind of gets what it wants for the most part, that history will blame Donald Trump as the person that lost it all for a partner, for someone that we had pledged to support. I'm not saying that we should understand. I'm just saying this is what was kind of reported, that history would paint him as kind of the loser, because he gave in, to Russia. So there, it seems like there's a kind of a backing away from that, and probably would expect to see more happening in Ukraine between them and Russia. And it looks like that there's a strong possibility that we will start to increase our arms shipment over there. Now that there's the mineral deal that's supposed to pay us back, we get so much of their minerals that pays us back for what we're sending over. So I guess you would figure if we're doing that now, we might as well send them a whole bunch of stuff to pay for it. So that's not exactly what was promised. That's not a campaign promise being fulfilled. And so it looks like things are heating up there again. I mean, the conflict between the two has been heated up for a while. Russia has been really lobbing some stuff at Ukraine, and so has Ukraine. And now the worry is because Russia is getting ready to have their kind of celebration of ending World War II. They're getting ready to have that, and so the worry is that Ukraine may be trying to attack that parade and that celebration. China's even weighed in, asking that Ukraine not attack Russia's celebration. Now, on that same note, and I think that there's something to this, the president came out, our president, Trump, came out and commented not necessarily on that Russian celebration, but stating that America will have that same day, what is it, May 7th? I can't remember, as the day that of victory in World War II. And he went on to say, and this is all, I think this is a political, there's a reason for this, that, you know, World War II would not have been won without us, that we were the champions, the victors, that the United States was the one that did all the stuff. And some of you know that that's not actually correct in history. Maybe the United States' involvement in World War II was the deciding factor that caused things to end. But Russia certainly did the big bulk of the fighting. 75% of, or approximately, of all the battles and battles won by the Allies were won by Russia. Russia did the big bulk of the fighting. Russia lost the most, you know, troops and all this kind of stuff. But in the president's statement, he completely excluded Russia and made it sound like that, you know, World War II was single-handedly won by the United States. I think that was a blow. I'm not knocking American patriotism and all that. Yes, I get it, that America played a huge role in World War II. I'm not dumb. But I think in his statement, if you read it, I think it was another way, you know, to kind of, you know, nudge Russia and to kind of poke the bear, so to speak, literally and figuratively. So there's signs that the relationship between President Trump and Russia and Putin may not be as great as what has been, you know, told in the past. So the point to all of this is that the conflicts that have been going on for a while, that we're made to believe maybe we're ending and getting wrapped up, may not be getting wrapped up so quickly. And the economic stuff is pouring over into the, you know, actual war stuff and vice versa. And so all of this stuff is not, it's not over, folks. It doesn't appear to be close to being over, and it's just going to continue to escalate. And you do that along with the economic stuff and the tariffs and the possibility of China moving in on Taiwan. I mean, it's now predicted to happen potentially this year. I mean, that's what a lot of the official, you know, experts are saying, that they believe that China will move on Taiwan this year, not years down the road. And so we're getting ourselves in a position where there's a major economic strife, shipping supply delays, and wars. And I talked about this months ago. Told you folks that this was very likely going to happen. That, you know, we could see this perfect storm of, you know, multiple front wars, economic problems, supply chain problems because of all that. And we're getting closer and closer to that. Now, it doesn't mean it is going to happen, but I'm saying that it's becoming a stronger and stronger likelihood. You know, 6 months ago or whenever, when I said that, it looked like it was a possibility. Now it's a very strong possibility that these things happen. Well, we need to wake up about it. I mean, there's already signs showing that the economy's slowing down. You know, there's numbers out that people aren't going to be making major purchases. Stores are already seeing their numbers drop down to COVID, like the peak COVID levels, when there were all the lockdowns, remember? When people weren't allowed to get out and go around in a lot of places. Businesses are showing numbers similar to that now, of a slowdown of customers and spending. That's a big deal. There's no lockdown, folks. There's no lockdown. People can go and do what they want still. And yet some businesses are starting to show numbers close to the numbers during the peak of the lockdown. That's not good. That means that we're headed in a kind of bad direction. And if you throw some greater conflict, us shipping stuff over to Ukraine, potentially things going on with Iran. We all know Israel wants a war with Iran. They're just itching for that. And so they're going to probably try to do anything they can to get us involved in a war. And Trump has stated that if that happens, we wouldn't be helping Israel. We would be leading that war. We would be leading it. And so we need to be preparing for these types of things. I know it's the same thing always. Prepare, prepare. Well, that's why you watch the channel, folks. You need to be stocking up on things. You need to be kind of going over your plans, getting stuff going. Food production needs to be a high priority. How you're going to purify your water, how you're going to take care of yourself medically, building relationships with people around you, working on your defense, working on your training. All of that stuff has to be happening. We're no longer in this kind of prepper stage. We have to get into kind of this, battle ready, so to speak, figuratively speaking, battle ready state of readiness, because these things are happening in real time right in front of us. And it may not be that much longer until we have to start putting all of this practicing that we've been doing into, actual practice. So get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.